About Tikkun Shovavim, we spoke about what is Shovavim. We spoke about what should a person be focusing on, especially if he's not married. Today we're going to talk about a certain aspect of Tikkun Shovavim that is applicable to everyone, and everybody can be shayach to this. So before we explain, we have to understand there's such a thing is called HaKadosh Baruch Hu created something that can come out from a person's body, something that exudes from the person's body that has the power to create. We all know what that is. And we spoke about the Gemara in Eruvin that talks about Adam Arishon, that this happened to him for 130 years. And because of that, that's why we have a period of Shovavim, because all these Nishamot that were born because of it. Correct? You guys remember, right? Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to talk about how does it work? What happens? When a person, when this does happen, it can happen by mistake, it can happen whatever the way it is. Is there teshuvah for this avera? Is there teshuvah? So famously, people know that there's a Zohar that says there's no teshuvah for this. That's what it says. But in the end of the day, this book over here, we used it last time, he explains that no, that's not what it really means. Because the Zohar says this in many places out as well. For example, the Zohar says that if a person does not wear tzitzit, no olam haba. Now what does that mean? There's no olam haba. Right, and many other things the Torah says. So olam haba doesn't mean that olam haba. It means that there's a Gan Eden Elyon, Gan Eden Tachton. That's what the Zohar means. And on top of that, the Zohar means the Ramak. There was a famous commentator. There was a famous Mikubal. There was a teacher of Arizal. In a sense, he says that what does it mean that there's no teshuvah? It means that even though simple teshuvah, there's no such thing. You need a teshuvah ilah. You need a very strong teshuvah. That's what means that there's no teshuvah. So therefore, Rabotai, there is teshuvah. So a person should not give up, except you need a little more. What does it mean you need a little more? So to explain as follows, that the particular sin that we are dealing with, where anybody understands what I'm talking about, is unlike any other sin. Why not? Because anytime a person does a sin, he creates a very bad angel. But this particular sin does not only just create a bad angel, it also creates different, we can call children of your own. I can recall, you guys can remember, there's a special minhag. This is the practice by many people from Yerushalayim. It's old minhag, maybe not that old, but Bukharians also as well do it. And that is why when a person dies, the children, especially the male, the children don't go into the cemetery. What's the reason they don't go to the cemetery? The reason is because he might have other children, and if they were afraid that they're going to say Abba, Abba, and they're going to feel so distraught that they lost their father, they're going to say Abba, Abba. They're going to say what? Abba, but we're also your children. You want to listen? You're getting the physical inheritance of our father. It also belongs to us. You have a father, you're physical, but we're spiritual. We're the same children. We came from the same father. So therefore, they made a takana, they made a decree in Jerusalem. No children of the father should go to the funeral. The Lubavitcher Rebbe also didn't go to his mother's funeral as well. So that's a whole discussion. Why not? Seemingly the reason is because he didn't go to his father's funeral. He didn't want to make his mother look any different, so he didn't go to his mother's funeral as well. Talking about the burial.
His father was a big rabbi.
Right, but he wasn't here. He was in America. I think he died in Kazakhstan. He's buried in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, Malka.
So therefore, we see, Rabotai, there's a concept of teshuvah, and there's a concept of the person who actually creates this. So the Arizal explains based on the Zohar and everything that there's two ways this particular sin actually affects two ways. Number one is that the way to do teshuvah is, first of all, a person has to make sure he gets forgiven for the sin, and he does not get punished in olam haba. When the person gets olam haba, we said that's not for us at this point. We're all not single. We don't have time to do these 84 fasts and do tikkunim and all those things. This is not for our generation. We do other things. So for that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can forgive. But there's a second aspect, which is unlike any other sin that you'll find in any of the Torah. That is, a person has to actually get rid of these things that he created. Whenever you create these entities, you have to actually get rid of them before you die. Before you die, you got to get rid of them. How do you get rid of them? Says the Arizal, and that is by something called Kriyat Shema al Mita. When you read Kriyat Shema before you go to sleep, you actually are taking a sword, as the Gemara tells us, that a person goes to sleep with the Kriyat Shema. It says, the Gemara says, as if you have a sword. You have a two-edged sword in your hand. So seemingly, it's a very, very powerful thing. The Gemara tells us in Brachot how important it is to say Kriyat Shema. For example, the Gemara says that a person who sleeps with Kriyat Shema, he has a double-edged sword, we said, and on top of that, he's mazikim badilim emenu. The Gemara tells us that there's certain mazikim, certain damagers that actually go away from you. What kind of damages? Rashi says in the Gemara means a shindalit. Specifically shindalit, ketamiriri. Okay. but doesn't mean literally specifically that Shin Dalet. It means any Shin Dalet out there that the Kriyat Shema protects you. You remember we had a whole share about anxiety. Remember we spoke about how do you protect yourself from attacks. We spoke about this as a Kriyat Shema, which means Kriyat Shema doesn't matter when you say it, what time of the day you say it, it automatically protects you from mazikin. But on top of that, the Arizal is telling you something deeper than that. What is the deeper than that? And that is that you not only protect yourself, you also kill them. The Ben Ish Chai explains as follows. He says when a person sometimes can create different types of mazikin. There are male mazikin, male and female. Male, you need to actually kill them, but female actually you need to be protected from them. You need to be protected from the female ones, and that's why the Gemara says when you go to sleep, as if you have a sword, as if you have a sword before you go to sleep. That's the sword that we're talking about before a person goes to sleep. So therefore, Rabotai, a person should make an effort to put a lot of emphasis to say Kriyat Shema before he goes to sleep. When you go to sleep, you actually are killing. How many of them? The Zohar tells us seemingly it's 1,025. Some people say 100,025. But there was a recent I heard the shiur from Rav Shaked Bodana. He said that if you pay attention to the clearly lashon of the Arizal, it says clearly you kill every single mazik you created. It all depends how much effort did you put in Kriyat Shema. So if you say Kriyat Shema from with a lot of kavanah, you can actually kill all the mazikim you ever create. So it's a very powerful thing. And now you'll understand what this book says over here, that before a person goes to sleep, what happens? All of a sudden he feels tired. He can be up in the wedding, he can be doing whatever. As soon as he decides in his mind, okay, it's time to sleep, I put on pajamas, all of a sudden he feels this like weariness. He's tired. He can't hold himself. Why? It's because these mazikim know that they're going to be about to be killed. They're about to be killed, and therefore they don't want to die. So they put a lot of tiredness in you to keep alive. So therefore, Rabotai, this is the main thing. This hits the parnasah, as we said before. The person who does this is because they take the pipe, the spiritual pipe that we have, and they make a hole, and they take a straw and drink from all the sustenance that we have. So obviously that we're talking about a person should not be doing these things, all the more so. But this is something as an extra to put emphasis on Kriyat Shema Shalamita, to repeat Kriyat Shema during these weeks, and obviously you should do this every single day. Therefore, a person can protect himself. Who should say the Kriyat Shema Lamita? Everybody, even men and even women. Even women should say Kriyat Shema Lamita because women also have a power to create mazikin. That's what Arizal explains. We'll explain a different time. Now, there's another thing that Arizal here. I saw a book by Rabbi Shmuel. He says there's another thing that he says that he quotes the Arizal that when a person goes to sleep, it not only you are killing the mazikim, you're also getting rejuvenation for your sleep, which means the neshama has to go and get recharged. It has to get recharged, like you recharge a Tesla, you would recharge your phone, or anything like that. So how come a person can sleep 8 hours, 9 hours, and he wakes up very tired, and he wakes up, why? Because the neshama did not go to the proper recharge. What is helping the person's neshama to go get the proper recharge? And that is the Kriyat Shema Lamita. Person says Kriyat Shema Lamita, he's guaranteed his neshama is going up all the way to Shamayim. So there's a lot of things that benefits out there. However, we're talking about only Kriyat Shema. You're going to tell me, Rabbi, look, I looked in the Siddur. There is more things there than Kriyat Shema Lamita. There's much more things. Pass me a Siddur, please. What kind of more things do you have in the Kriyat Shema Lamita? If you open up, after Kriyat Shema, you should say that's it. I said it. But after Kriyat Shema Lamita, we have interesting additions. Now let me explain to you the importance of these additions. So therefore, you will hopefully say them as well. Number one addition you have is Yalzu Chasidim. Okay, we're not gonna get into that. So why? Because it says the pasuk ve'cheref b'yod bi'adam that the Shlomo HaMelech after the whole event of Ashmedai, he used to have constantly 60 people coming and protecting his bed. So that's not necessarily mean also with Shlomo HaMelech, where there's number 60 is very much connected to Kriyat Shema. Now, many explanations because sleep is 1/60th of death. So that's what it is. We have 60 people. It says, you say this 3 times. If you say this 3 times, it adds up to number 60. You end up saying 60 words. So that's one thing. You also say 3 times. If you say 3 times, you pay attention, it adds up to number 60. So number 60 is a very significant number. So what's so significant? We said because it's something with protection. The Shlomo Melech used specifically 60 men to protect himself from future attacks of Ashmedai. Maybe he was afraid that he was going to come back and attack him. So therefore, 60 some sort of protection is a deep, significant number. So therefore, that's why we say these particular psukim. Then you say something the Gemara calls us the shir shel negaim, shel pegaim. It's called Yoshev Beseter Elyon. This Yoshev Beseter Elyon is a special Tehillim that's protecting you, a person, from all different types of negaim and also all sorts of damagers and mazikim. So, and the specific Chachamim tell us you're supposed to say it only till the word machsi. Which means if you pay attention, you look in the Siddur, it's usually Yoshev Beseter is a little longer, but this is the one that protects a person. Then the Zohar tells us, the Gemara tells us that it's something a person should be a mara de chushbana. Person should be a master of chushban, cheshbon. You know what cheshbon means? Cheshbon nefesh. A person every day before he goes to sleep should make a cheshbon nefesh. That's the way your neshama goes up. So what part of Kriyat Shema makes a person's neshama go up and make sure he gets good sleep is if he goes and he does a accounting of what he did that day. What did I do? How did I behave? Did I say good things to bad people, bad things to people? Did I make brachot? I didn't make brachot. And the person should sit there before and verbalize it. And that's why there's a vidui in the Kriyat Shema. You can say, what's a vidui doing? At night, since when do we do vidui? We don't even say it in Arvit. No, we're there because we know that you want to make sure your neshama goes up. So you're supposed to say the vidui right before you go to sleep. And then you say Ana B'Koach. Ana B'Koach is the prayer that's written Rabbi Choni ben Akana. It's a very deep prayer, old prayer. Ana B'Koach. This is the Ana B'Koach. I'm sure everybody knows the prayer Ana B'Koach. And this is the prayer that actually gives you the protection as is explained. Why you're supposed to say the whole Ana B'Koach, the whole thing. And then if you pay attention, it says Leil Rishon. Anaban, it says Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right there. So this the first sentence is Saturday night. This is Saturday night. If it's Saturday night, you're going to go back to the first sentence and repeat it 3 times. Why is it supposed to be repeated 3 times? As we know, I'm not sure if it's proper. Yechezkel says that the angels have 6 wings, 2 to cover their face, 2 to fly, and 2 to cover their feet. The angels have 6 wings. So if you pay attention, there's how many words? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 letters here. 6 letters per line. 6 letters per line. So once you say Ana B'Koach, the whole thing, then you go to that particular day of the week that it is. Let's say Saturday night or Sunday night, whatever it is, and you say that 3 times, and each time you say it, you get 2 pairs of wings, and that's how your neshama is coming and be able to fly to Shamayim. Okay.
Those are the things before Kriyat Shema?
This is after. This is towards the end already. This is towards the end. And then there is another thing that is very important that the Radbaz and the other Meforshim discuss. And they say, listen, there's a pasuk says, Bi'atcha avkid ruchi, pedita oti Hashem elmet. Hashem, I'm depositing my neshama into you. You're saying that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm depositing my neshama to your hands. Why do you say that before that? Because this is a guarantee the person will wake up the next day. The Radbaz says that if a person died, that means it's a guarantee he didn't say this pasuk before he died, or he spoke after, or he said something else after. The last things on your lips have to be this pasuk, Be'atcha avkid ruchi, and go to sleep. If you had to talk, say something else, okay, say this pasuk again. Learn this pasuk by heart. Then there's Be'atcha avkid ruchi pedita Hashem oti elemet, and then you're supposed to say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm depositing you my neshama to your hand. You are a watchman. You must pay back me. Give me the neshama back. So those people who want to guarantee that they're going to wake up the next day, this is Bi'atcha avkid ruchi. And then there is another pasuk which I do not find, and most of the Sidurim don't have it. Some Sidurim do, some Sidurim don't. And that is Nafshi V'ticha. There's a pasuk called Nafshi V'ticha, mentioned in the many, brought down the many pasukim. This the Avodat Hashem doesn't have it. Avodat HaKodesh has it. So with that, there's a pasuk called Nafshi V'ticha. The Arizal tells us sometimes a person has to reach 3 levels of his soul: nefesh, ruach, neshama. So once a person reaches 3 levels of his soul, he gets the nefesh. Let's say he completed the nefesh. He fulfilled that nefesh. Now he's supposed to get the neshama. So technically speaking, since there is a person has to die and come back in a different body with the neshama. There's one way a person can guarantee that he does not have to die and still get his next upgrade. He can get his upgrade of his neshama by not dying. If he says this pasuk, nafshi v'ticha, it's one line, it's one pasuk, you could say that. So there's many additions, many benefits to the Kriyat Shema Shalamita. Besides, we said that killing all the mazikim that a person creates, besides having a good night's sleep, there's also a guarantee to wake up, there's a guarantee not to die. There's plenty what to offer. So it's important to invest a good amount of time in your night before you go to sleep for what it is. And we're in the period of Shovavim right now, where we are trying to do tikkun for this. And the person, this is something that's applicable to anybody, married, not married. You have to say the same way. It's halach and Shulchan Aruch. The Gemara tells us, halach and Shulchan Aruch, you must say it. Why am I bringing this up? Is to make sure that a person is mechazek, to give you an extra boost, chizuk. Why should you say it? We'll give more reasons to give you excited to say the Kriyat Shema Lamita. And Bezrat Hashem, if you feel differences in sleep and other things in life, areas of parnasa, so let me know. So we'll give you you'll be our testimony. Yes.
So I And the first exam, this thing you said Be'at Keep. In my Shidduch, it says to say it 12 times. Is there a reason for that?
Not Biat Chav Kidduchi, no.
It said 12 times. Like
David Melech Israel, you're confusing. That's also, if David Melech Israel, I think if you'd say 12 times, could be adds up to number 60. I don't remember exactly why
and
12
another
times.
thing, it also says like, I always found like about like in different Siddurim, it says different things every single time.
Right, so pick one Siddur and say it. I'll use Avodat HaKodesh. Pick around, look around the Siddurim, see which ones are said. Again, if to point out that if a person, there's tafasta, merubah lo tafasta, there's times, person says sometimes it's too much for me, he doesn't do it at all. That's not the point. If it's too much for you, at least say the Kriyat Shema with 3 paragraphs. Why should you say 3 paragraphs? Even though the Gemara tells us only say 1 line. The Arizal says is because back then, whenever the Chachamim used to say 1 line, they used to have such kavanah that they were able to accomplish a lot. But in our days, says the Arizal, he's talking about his generation. We're not able to do that. We cannot say Kriyat Shema 1 sentence and then accomplish what it used to be. You have to say the whole 3 paragraphs. Besides the whole 3 paragraphs, you have 248 letters, words, 248 words in the whole Kriyat Shema. If you repeat Hashem Elokechem Emet, some say El Melech Ne'eman before to get to 48. So whatever it is, you get 248. That also corresponds to all your bones and sinews and all your organs in the body. That obviously is very important spiritually as well. Okay, any other questions? No? All right. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen. Amen. Yeah.
Very off topic.
B'chavod.